Tonight's in life, one of the biggest decisions you will make that will set off a chain of other actions is when you decide if you're going to buy or build a house. There's two main things that I want to talk about that you have to consider if you're thinking about buying a house or building a house. Number one is you have to count the cost. There is a scripture, a biblical scripture, that gives an example that a fool begins building or buying a house without counting the entire cost. Most people do not understand, do not calculate, and do not consider the entire cost associated with building or buying a house, both financially, emotionally, and in every other way. And what I can tell you is if you buy a house today for $200,000, and if you sell it 10 years from now for $300,000, you did not make a $100,000 profit. Because when you bought it, you had closing costs, you had loan origination cost, you had a lot of cost, inspection cost, renovation cost, maintenance cost, utility cost. You had a lot of costs over those 10 years. And when you sell it, you're going to go through the same amount of cost, closing costs, inspection costs. It's a whole process. So in life, in every decision, and especially when it comes to buying and building a house, you have to consider the entire spectrum of costs, both financially and emotionally, that are part of a major purchase. And you have to, the second thing I want to talk about, and we'll break it down a little bit more. The second thing is why. Why are you buying or building a house? Because I guarantee you, if you buy a house today, 10 years from now, your life is going to be completely different. You have to be very cautious if you buy or build a house for someone else, whether they're your spouse, your parent, or whoever. 10 years changes a lot. How old are you today? Are you 40 years old? Think about where you were in life when you were 30 years old. I'm sure a lot changed. How old are you today? Are you 60 years old? I think a lot changed between now that you're 60 versus when you were 50 years old. A lot changes in a decade. A president comes and goes. 10 years from now, ain't going to be Trump in office, even if he does great. Who knows who it'll be? 10 years ago, what'd you have? You had Bush in office. See, life changes dramatically in 10 years. So you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Are you doing it for a relationship? Are you doing it for a lover? Because resentment comes when you do something for someone else, and then 10 years later, you realize you're not happy with yourself. When you're not happy with your decisions, divorce happens. Family arguments happen. Friendships sever. And all you're left with is bad memories. Because even the good memories now are buried under bad resentment. Every relationship ends bad. Or I don't want to say that. Let me correct that. When a relationship ends, it ends very bad. Whether it's the relationship with your pastor, the relationship with your ex-manager, the relationship with anyone, because separation is painful. There's appreciation. There's good memories, but on top of those good memories is a little bit of bitterness. Instead of your chocolate chip mint ice cream covered with chocolate sprinkles, it's covered with Dookie bitterness. Dookie Brown. I remember when my dog passed away, people said, "Sam, remember the good memories." And that made me hurt more. Because on top of the good memories were the last couple years of her life, specifically the last 6 to 8 months when she suffered, when I was impatient with her, when I had to take her to the vet to put her down. So out of 10 years having my dog, I would say 8.5 of them were great years. The vast majority of the time with my dog were great years. But the last 1.5 years, the end was very painful. And even though you got the majority good memories, you only tend to remember the bad memories. So out of 10 years, if you bought a house and you had 8 great years, what do you remember the last year when you're in a rush to sell it, liquidate it, to separate? You remember the bad. And you remember every nail that you drove into that sheetrock to build a house for someone else. You remember every time you were in the yard changing the landscaping to make someone else happy. You remember every countertop that you replaced after a long day of work just to have a different home decor. Buying or building a house specifically for someone else, if you're not in agreement, if it's not part of your equal shared vision, will hurt you. Direction in life. Number one is if you don't count the true cost associated with ownership. And when you buy a house, you best believe that everyone has got their hand in your pocket. Our economy is 70% based around consumerism. A majority of that is pushed and is driven by construction, specifically residential housing. Without residential housing, the American economy would be completely different. Some may even say collapse because it's built around housing. Because the minute you buy a house, whether it's a new house or you build a new house, whether you buy an old house or you build a new house, the minute you buy it, you start a chain series of reactions. Number one, most people get a loan. So now when a bank gives you a loan, they create money basically out of the air because they can leverage their assets several times over. And you got closing costs, you got origination fees, you got appraisal costs. You have someone appraise the house. To get the loan on a house, you have to have it appraised. You have to know what it's worth on the market. You got inspections. You're gonna once you buy a house, you're gonna know contractors on a first name basis. You're gonna be more intimate with your contractors than you are your family. That's the sad truth. It's a sad thing, and this is why you have to really, really understand what I'm saying here tonight, guys. And Milano's right. You think Florida has cheaper housing? In some instances, it may appear that way. Like, yeah, I looked at the home base that property taxes are only $1,000 or $2,000, but the home insurance, because of the volatile climate with hurricanes, the home insurance is off the roof. So there's a lot of hidden costs that people just looking online. They don't take these costs into consideration. And like I said, before you know it, you are spending a lot more money and a lot more time and a lot more intimacy. Time equals intimacy. Again, I think you're going to have more intimate conversations with your contractor than you are your family, friends, or lover. And I know. How do I know? Because I was an electrical contractor. And I can tell you this firsthand. I went into many people's house. Some MILFs, some single people, and some old people. And above all else, a lot of the time that I spent estimating a job or doing a job was intimate conversations with people. I didn't ask for it. Sometimes people start spilling their heart out. People start spilling their whole life out to me. I'm there to hang a ceiling fan. Next thing I know, I'm their therapist. I didn't charge them. No, I didn't charge them. So, because what it is you're getting ready to go in their pocketbook, in their sanctuary. People build a home like a sanctuary. What's a sanctuary? A sanctuary is like a term for a religious building where you feel the Spirit of God. Now, many people blast the Catholic Church and other faiths because they built these big sanctuaries, these big churches. If you ever go to New York City, you'll see some of the most lush, golden, huge catastrophes of churches. They're beautiful to look at. They're marvelous. And, there's something special about walking into a beautiful church. But something could be said, or you built this big church, but did you lose the Spirit of God in the essence of having this big church? Because isn't God in the big church, you know, on 6th Avenue next to Trump Plaza? Or is God, you know, on 42nd Street with the homeless people? What are you supposed to be doing? And in church, you know, you have an intimate conversation about the stained glass. A lot of times when you're in church and you're in these big churches, they talk about the building more than they talk about, you know, healing. Building has a lot of cost. And there's 2 stresses in life. I remember Googling it. What are the top things that cause people to stress? Why is that important? Because stress is the number one thing that eats that quality of life. Now, everyone knows, like, you know, fast food, McDonald's, all that stuff will kill you. Everyone knows that by now. But what people still do not pay enough attention to is stress. Because you can be in great shape, you can look great, or you could be fat, doesn't matter. But if you're stressing, quality of life is low. Stress is mental pain that manifests into physical harm. It's true. So what are the top 2 things of stress? If stress is so important as far as your quality of life, you should know the top 2 things that cause stress. You should know it. You should have it tattooed on your forehead. Number 1, the number 1 thing that causes stress is relationships. So when you get ready to buy or build a house, your relationship is actually not going to get stronger. It's going to get further apart because there's more decisions to make. That's more stress. There's more money that's going to be spent. That's more stress. Because that's the second cause of stress is money problems. The first cause of stress is relationships. Second cause of stress, money problems. And before you know it, you're worn out emotionally, mentally, and you turn to your contractor to have an intimate conversation before you turn to your significant other. And you almost trust your contractor more than you trust a friend or family. Keep it simple. Guys, don't get lost. Don't get lost in society's maze. Society is not evil. I think we live in great times if we look at the context of history. So I am optimistic, I'm positive, and I'm thankful. But I'm here to tell you, as someone who's been through some things in life, I've owned a house. I've helped build houses. I was looking at a home base today. Just a small little RV lot by the ocean. Under 100,000. And again, I just kind of like window shopping. I'm in no rush. But the real estate agent that showed me, she was an older lady. She once lived in the community. And I said, well, let me ask you this so I get some insight on the community. Why did you decide to leave the community? And she goes, well, I was one of the original people in the community. I actually built a home in the community. She built a home in the community. So I said, you built a home in the community. She likes the community. Why'd you leave? And she goes, well, time changes. My husband has passed away. I'm taking care of my elderly mother. And I need to, be closer to hospitals. And I don't want to deal with a lot of, home issues. Got a small little condo. So it goes back to my second point. Life changes. Just about everyone that I know that built a house, they either got a divorce, someone died, or life changed. And during the course of building the house, they didn't spend quality time. They spent time renovating. They spent time getting marble countertops, hanging ceiling fans. I've done those. And that's great. Again, a house can be a refuge. I think a house could be a good thing on a small scale. Because a house can take away from your time, your energy, your happiness. And so now you're stressed out emotionally, financially. You got a lot of decisions. It's weighing on your mind. Even if you have no mortgage, listen to me. You got to hire a cleaning lady. People don't count that. If you bought a house for $100,000 and 10 years later you sold it for $200,000, did you account for every cleaning product you bought? Did you account for every vacuum you bought, every filter you bought, every bottle of Windex, every paper towel? You know how much paper towels cost? Every rug that you put on your bathroom. There's so many costs associated with a house. People love to exaggerate how much they made selling their house or how much equity they have in their house, but they haven't counted the true cost. Jesus said, count the true cost before you begin to build. That's wisdom. Not just financially, emotionally. You're going to spend a lot of emotion in a house. And now, all of us, we are all different, but we all have a spectrum of love. We all have a spectrum of patience. We all have a spectrum of energy. Some people are high energy. They're Donald Trump. I'm high energy. Some people are Jeb Bush. They're basically not much different than a paper towel. And some people are in the middle. Some people are very patient. I dated a couple nurses. They're very patient, but they can be psychopaths too. So some people are very patient. Some people very not impatient. Some in the middle. Everyone has a spectrum, right? So some people can take more than others. But no matter which line of spectrum you're on, once you only have so much capacity. You can only deal with so much. Now, some people can deal with more than others. But again, if you buy or you build a house, chances are it's not just you. So if you're a high energy person and your spouse or your mother or your loved one, if they're low energy, that's going to take away from you. So now you kind of like you're fighting yourself to maintain, to build, to create this shelter that many times is an illusion of what you want. What I've learned in being a contractor and in owning a house has value, and I'm not saying that you should always rent. I'm not saying everyone should live in their car. There's a time to buy. There's a time to build. But only do it after you've counted the cost and after you asked yourself, why are you doing this? I remember sitting poolside. I owned a condo for 15 years, and in the condo, we had a nice community pool. And, it was for medium-sized condos, and they had a couple townhomes in the community. But most of the part, it was either single people, young families, or older people. It was like, because people would buy a condo, and then 5-10 years later, they get in a relationship, they have a couple kids, and then they need to buy a single-family house. Guys, a lot changes in 10 years. So you buy a condo as a single person or as a young married couple or a townhome, and then all of a sudden you have a couple kids, life changes, now you got to buy a single-family house. There's nothing more stressful than moving. And if you don't believe me, you've never moved. Or you never helped a stripper move on a second-floor apartment. Never do it. I love you if you're watching, but it was a disaster. Guys, never help someone move. If you really love someone, just offer $100 towards a moving company. Nothing will end a friendship like moving someone somewhere. I mean, it's a real disaster, guys. But outside of that, I was sitting at my community pool, and there was a middle-aged couple, and it was the wife, and they were getting ready to sell their condo and move to a single-family house. I heard her talking. She was, yeah, we're building a house. And she started to name all the things that she had to do. Pick out the decor, work with the contractors, all these different things. I mean, it's a whole process, guys, a lot. It's a big strain on your, not only financial well-being, but your emotional well-being. And it's devastating to a relationship because, again, no matter who you are on the spectrum of life, you only have so much capacity. You can only put so much strain on yourself until you start to push back with anger, with resistance, with resentment. And so she started listing all these things that they were going through to build this house. And I could, as she was describing, and I could see her energy levels drop. And I remember she was talking to another couple. And she was talking to the other couple almost more compassionately than she was talking to her spouse, because sometimes you can be happier, more excited to talk with a stranger or a casual acquaintance than someone who intimately knows you. Because, you've already put so much burden on that relationship. So I remember her saying to her friends after she was describing this long process of building a house, she goes, I don't know, maybe people should never get married. She goes, she almost said she was overdoing it, but she couldn't help herself. It's very similar to, I struggled with food. My mom struggled with food. A lot of my family on my mother's side struggled with obesity. I had an aunt that died from obesity. And my mom, when I speak to her, she has diabetes, she's overweight, but every time I speak to her, she's eating something unhealthy. She just can't help herself. There's some people in life, I don't judge them, I understand it. You can't help yourself. And building or buying a house, you get caught up in this vortex of either consumerism or just society. Society is structured where housing is a big moneymaker. And when housing is booming, the economy is booming. But again, even when the economy is booming, we're at the all-time record stock highs. But guess what? There's one consistent thing, whether the stock market is high or whether the stock market is low, is that for the most part, for the past 20 plus years, 80% of society lives paycheck to paycheck. And even if you have money, even if you inherited money or you worked hard and you got money, never underestimate the emotional cost of building or buying a house. Never do it. Because it's more of an emotional strain than you think. Does that mean you should rent forever? No. Does that mean you should live in a car? No. But it means you got to be very cautious. You got to keep things simple. And you have to ask yourself, are you doing this to bring your family closer together? Or are you doing this for an idea on something you saw in a housing magazine for home decor? Because if you really love your family, I can't tell you how many disingenuous people tell me that family is everything. If family is everything, you should just have some basic essentials in your house, and you should spend the majority of your time, energy, and resources with your family, not renovating your house for your family. Now, you should do whatever you want with your money. It's not about counting people's money. I'm just saying this is a life observation. From being a contractor, being in people's homes, having my own home. And even now, and we're going to get ready to go on all live comments. Even today, as I've been looking at home bases for the past couple months, I looked in this one home base today. It was about $80,000. It's just a raw piece of land with a paved driveway, basically for an RV with utility hookups. And so you say, okay, Sam, it's $80,000. How much are taxes? Taxes are $1,000 a year. Again, it's cheap, but because there's no house on it, and but you still have to have liability insurance. So that's what we were talking about. The real estate agent said, look, you buy the land, right? And she goes, there's an HOA fee. And even if there wasn't an HOA fee, you have to pay for the water, the sewer, the electric, the mowing of the grass. She goes, but you also have to consider you need liability insurance. I said, liability insurance is just a raw piece of land. She goes, I understand that. And she goes, but here's the thing. If somebody walks on your property and they fall, or you're liable for that, or you could be liable. Similar, if you own a house, listen to me. If you own a house and someone trips on your sidewalk in front of your house, you could be liable. So you have to look at what they call like a site survey. You have a site survey done of the house or the land you're buying, and you have a certain perimeter that you are liable for. In many instances, the house is a liability, not an asset. And so, this is part of the process, right? So now, you buy a property, whether you get a loan or whether you buy cash, whatever you're going to do, you always have utility costs, guys. always. The biggest utility you need is electric. And I was watching something today. There's a lot of nuclear power plants in Florida, believe it or not. Like I often bust Doug's chops. Doug is a viewer from my channel. He lives in New Mexico. I often bust his chops about, like, you know, how in New Mexico there's nothing but dirt and desert, and they used to test nuclear bombs there. But truth be told, there's more nuclear hazard in Florida than anywhere else. There's a lot of nuclear power plants in Florida. I'm saying all that today because I was researching some nuclear power plants in the area I was looking. And they were saying that the utility company, in addition to the power you use, they put a surcharge on their budget projection on building more power plants or maintaining power plants. So they forward that customer, like, you know, even if you only use $20 worth of electric, and most people at least going to use $50 worth of electric per month, they put an additional like 20% surcharge on what it's going to cost for them to build more nuclear plants or maintain. Once they have their hooks in you, they just keep taxing you. Okay. But that's okay. Everything has a cost, but I'm just saying be mindful of this. You know, cable. I mean, I know not many people watch cable, and cable's the biggest thing I don't regret. One of the best things I did living mobile is I don't worry about cable. I don't like the news. I don't like TV. But if you do have TV, you know what it is. I mean, that never goes down. They get you an introductory price. Same thing with internet. Same thing with internet. And then most people want Netflix, they want this. A lot of psychopaths I met on YouTube, you know, they got 30 different fake profiles just to get 30 days free of Netflix, and they just keep cycling it over. They don't know how to apply for a job, but they know how to cycle out free, free Gmail accounts to get free Netflix. I know the game. I had a viewer in here. He's very conservative, and he don't like social programs. He's stealth camping in front of his mom's house with an extension cord run to her electrical house. He's getting free electric from his mom. He's on socialized electricity. And he's a conservative. Hey guys, listen, you shouldn't be a conservative if you're still living at your mom's house and you're a grown adult and you're using her electric. You shouldn't be a conservative, okay, if you're not out there on your own making it happen. That's what I think. Because if not, you're a socialist. Okay. And look, I'm a little liberal. You guys know that. But I'm out on my own. Okay. And part of an adult, at some age, you got to go out on your own, guys. Okay. Because I don't care if you're voting for Trump on the America flag. If you're living at your mommy or daddy's house and you're in your 20s and you don't have some severe disability, screw you. And then I know what's going to happen. You're going to get in, God forbid, you're going to get in some type of medical issue, and then you're going to the hospital, and you're going to tell me, I don't want socialized medicine, and I'm the one paying for the difference. Everyone else who's out there, paying for health care, they're the one that's going to pick up your bill. So I know we're getting off track, but I'll just end on this. We'll go all live comments. There's an emotional, financial entanglement and burden when it comes to housing, buying and building. Being a renter is not all cracked up to be there, so I'm not promoting that. And I am promoting at some age, if you're of sound mind and body, you have to get the hell out of your parents' house. It's part of being an adult. Okay. You may need their help. We all did. And you may mess up, but you got to go out there and get your own, okay? I'm damn sure you shouldn't be a professional. You shouldn't be coming on my channel if you're still living at your mommy or daddy's house and you're grown. No, I don't want to hear that. And you're conservative. Give me a break. I don't want to hear that. It's a huge decision in your life that will affect your career. Once you buy or build a house, you have a certain fixed financial budget that you have to account for every month. And that will affect the jobs you take and don't take and how hard you have to work. And that's why many people, they try to avoid it. I mean, you shouldn't avoid it. Again, you shouldn't necessarily live in your car, but you should do it at a very small scale. Because you want to know how you lose your creativity? Building or buying too big a house. It changes every other decision you have in your life. And everything changes in life. The person you're with today, the relationship is going to be completely different 10 years from now. Whether it's you have more kids, whether you don't like that person anymore. And all throughout that 10 years, you renovated a house. You dug a pool. You did the grass. You sacrificed precious time with your family. And now you have to figure out how to dissolve that asset because you're getting a divorce. I've seen it. And then after the divorce, the ex-wife or the ex-husband, they get another house and they spend their time renovating that because they want to do it their own way. Guys, if you didn't get anything else from this opening statement, I know it's a little bit long. I'm going all off comments now. I want you to count the cost in every way. And I want you to err. I want you to err on the side of caution. And I want you to think about how life changes over time. I don't want you to be scared to make a mistake. I don't want everyone to live in their car. I don't want everyone to rent. I think homeownership does have value if you stay in a scenario for a period of time. For some people, it's not all bad. There's a lot of positivity. But there has to be a way in which you look at it. Because many people think that buying a house will save a marriage. Many people think that buying a house will help their mother. And many times, it's an illusion. Because the real asset is your time, your energy, and your well-being. If you're not in a well state, but you have a beautiful house, it doesn't matter. You're going to be arguing with your mother, arguing with your spouse. Your time and you being in a good place mentally, physically, and emotionally, financially, that is the asset. The asset that appreciates over time is you, not your house. Your house is a liability. Your house is a resource for shelter. It is not going to save a marriage. It's not going to save your mother. Your mother's going to die. Your father's going to die. Your children may die. Your pet is going to die. Is that morbid? No, that's reality. We're all going to die. Okay. So while we're here, our asset is our time. Don't spend your time building this golden idol of a calf of a house that America sometimes overdoes it because of the almighty dollar. In a capitalist society, we worship the dollar like nowhere else. Because let me tell you something, if you study the scriptures, specifically the New Testament and Jesus, he was more of a socialist than a capitalist. And if you disagree, I want you to reread the New Testament. I'm not a socialist. I like capitalism. But I think there's something to be said for that. All right, let me roll down my windows, put my fan on, we'll go all off comments. Take a hydration break. Guys, if you like these videos, if they help you, or if they entertain you, please take the effort, click that thumbs up button, share the video, leave a comment. Gina, what's going on, brother? How are you, man? How's everything in your world? How's dating on Tinder? How's your hormones? There's a spectrum of horniness, okay? Some people are very horny. Some people can do without sex completely. I remember being at a friend's house, and there was like, my friend's mother had a friend of hers over, and she was like, I hate sex. I don't like sex. I don't like when people ask for it. She was very low hormones. And so like Gina, he's like almost a sexaholic. That's why I tell him, brother, get you a pack of socks and masturbate every night, man. Because he almost destroyed his life a couple times in a relationship. Guys, what are the two causes of stress in life? A relationship and money. So Gina, don't be scared to masturbate, bro, because I know you got a high sex drive. Luke, what's up, Sam? Sending you some positive vibes. I appreciate that. On this Saturday, thank you. Hope all's well. Good to see you, Luke. Little Fairy once she's back. She's back from Idaho, coming in strong. Now, hey, people come and go out of your life. Guys, a week changes a lot. So, like, 2 weeks ago, if I built a house for little fiery one, she used to come in here every night, comment, I love you. But then over time, she goes, I heard this guy say masturbating a sock already. I'm bored. And now all of a sudden, I built a house for a little fiery one. I put like a little Idaho pillowcase for her and everything. Now all of a sudden, she's out there banging XP Jeffy. Why? Because she moved on. A lot changed in 2 weeks. And I'm sitting there masturbating in a sock looking at a potato head pillow. Guys, life changes quick, man. So don't overbuild. All right, let's continue. Monique Ross McCoy. That's a long name. Hello, everyone. Hey, Monique. Good to see you. Little fiery one. Yeah, she's in the house. Luke, I got a quick question for you. Okay, it's off topic. But I know you talk about doing you. Oh, yeah, and cutting people off. You got to. But if your mom wasn't in your life, do you think it would be really hard for having a family? It's possible. I know some men that have married a woman because they never had a mother in their life. But your wife is not your mother. Never forget it. Never forget it. Your lover is not your mother. I had a person I was dating. She tried to be my mother. She used to always worry about me. I said, look, I got one mother. I don't need another one. You know, so, but I think you make a mistake. I understand. Yes, I do think that I have gotten my share of love and compassion from my mom. And so I don't like have to go seek that in some other woman. But also I had to become a man and stop being a mommy's boy, okay? There's a certain season of your life where your mother wants her own space, okay? And if you're an adult and if you're of sound body and body, you got to go out there, you got to live your life. And look, your mother's going to die. You got to stop stealing free electricity from her, okay? That's the truth. And then talk about you're voting for Trump, okay? Because you're a conservative. I don't want to hear that. When you pay for your own electric bill, or you live in your car, or you do your own life, then you can tell me you're a conservative, okay? But until then, you're a socialist. That's I think. Let's continue. But I would hate to get into a mortgage and feel like I'm never going to be able to pay it off. Well, that's true. I mean, look, there's a lot of deduction. You know, the deductions don't take up. But look, either way, you have to have somewhere to live, okay? So if you rent, you're paying for someone else's mortgage, okay? You're not paying for maintenance and other foreseeable costs, and you still have a level of flexibility, but you got to live somewhere. So you got three choices in life, okay? You're either going to buy, which I would not buy until you are financially sound. One of the reasons I was buried under debt for many years was that I bought a house before I was ready, and I paid the price for like 10 years it took me to crawl out of debt. And I had to build my career and keep working my way up, or else I would have never got out of debt, guys. So there's nothing wrong with renting, but if you're a single person, you rent a 250 square foot studio condo. You know, you don't go rent a 2-bedroom condo because you want to impress a girl. I fell in that trap because guess what, guys? If you're doing that, your whole life is going to be the rat race. And then you're going to wake up 50, 60 years old and you're living in your car because, you know, you got a divorce, you went through it. Now you want to live the simple life and you're too damn old. I don't got the heart. Well, I do have the heart to tell some of you people that. You know, but they figure it out themselves. They get in their car. They're all excited. They think they still got a shot. And then they head back up north. They say, oh, shit, this isn't as easy as that crazy guy makes it seem. And that's true. Or like NVR, who lives in her car in Alaska. She's spending over $50 a day in food. A lot of you guys think it's cheap living in your car. You'll see. With no refrigerator. Somebody asked me the other day, where's my refrigerator? Come on, man. So what I'm here to tell you, and that's the other thing about having a house. You better get ready to buy appliances. Refrigerator, oven, microwave, washer, dryer, dishwasher, they all go bad. I replaced every one of those appliances when I lived in my house. And it's not just the cost of the appliance, it's the cost of installation. And if you don't know how to install, you're either going to call your contractor. When you buy or build a house, some of the most intimate conversations you'll ever have is with your contractor. Never forget it. Why? Because you're spending more quality time with them than your loved ones. Or the girl you think that you're going to impress by getting a house. Or the guy. And then if you don't have the money to cost, guess what you're going to do? You're going to do favor for a favor. And I did that too. You don't have the money to install an appliance or to buy. So you're going to buy the floor model. You're going to ask someone you know that has a pickup truck to come help you get it out of Lowe's. You're going to damn near break your back. Okay, getting that appliance in the back of their pickup, and in their mind they're gonna be thinking, "Oh, shit, scratching my cut truck." Then you're gonna get it to your house. You're gonna drag up a flight of stairs, and then you're gonna install it. But now you're on the hook. Now, when they ask you for a favor, you better hurry up and go. So you're over there. Someone just helped you install something. Now they call you up. You're in the middle of watching free porn, but you can't just finish off yourself and masturbate in the sock. You got to go help them, move out of their apartment. Why? Because they helped you, favor for a favor. Or you're a hot girl and you want security cameras installed because you think some psychopath's stalking you. But don't flatter yourself, because most of you chicks out there are pretty ugly. There's nobody stalking you. Don't be scared to go in your car and sleep in a parking lot. I don't think anyone's going to come and get you. Don't worry about it. But some people, they watch rape abduction movies all night long. So they say, I bought this house, and then they'll never account for this cost. Well, they bought their house for $200,000. They're going to sell it for $300,000 10 years later, but they'll never account for this cost. They're going to install security cameras because they've been watching rape abduction movies. They're all scared, and maybe rightfully so. So now they want security cameras, but guess what? Don't know how to install them. They're a public school teacher. All right, don't get upset. Don't get upset. So now, guess who you got to call? The guy who wants to bang you, but you don't like, right? Because somebody's got to install these cameras, and you don't have money. You're in debt. You're like 80% of Americans. Stock market all-time high. But 8 out of 10 people living paycheck to paycheck. Never forget. So now you call up John, who wants to bang you, but you don't like him. He's not tall enough. Okay. So you say, John, how you been? What's going on? John picks up, oh, shit. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And he runs over your house. He can't wait to install those cameras because he wants something from you. Does he want coffee? Hell no. He don't want coffee. He don't want you to cook him burnt up cheese and macaroni. He wants some loving. He wants some loving. Guys, you don't want to, it's a whole entanglement. Am I saying you should always rent? No. Am I saying you should live in your car? No, not necessarily. I'm saying be very mindful of these things so that you get your life together, you buy in proportion, and you see how much your life changes through a cascading series of events when you buy or build a house. Okay, very important. All right, let's continue. Luke, so do your life alone without any kind of connection in the world to you. I've had connections, and overrated for me, for my personality. There's different personalities. There's some people that they need to be in a snuggly blanket. They need to have 5 dogs. They need to be in a relationship, and they need to watch, like romantic comedies. I don't need that. Now, I've been in relationships. I've got to experience life. I had a loving mother, so I'll recognize that. But I've always been a little bit of a loner. And so as I got older, I really developed that. Okay. And so I will say, yes, I've got to experience certain things, and I don't want to deprive other people of those experiences. But I also thank God the Lord spared me and I didn't have kids or a family, because now I really know, you don't really know yourself till you're in your 30s. And most people, when they wake up in their 30s, they're already on their second kid and they got to upgrade their house. I'm not saying marriage is all bad, and I'm not saying all people should be single. Okay. I'm saying be very cautious. Because Luke, you got a dysfunctional relationship with your mother. You're going to look for in a girlfriend, and your girlfriend is not your mother. You can have a loving girlfriend, but she's not your mother. Never forget it. And when you're in a relationship, if you think you get love back, you give more than you get back. You give more than you get back. That's part of any relationship. And if your girlfriend dies, or if your wife dies, or your husband dies, I had a realtor today. The realtor that took it to me in property. I said, why'd you move out of this community? She said, because my husband died. We built this house, and I wanted to downsize and move back inland. So the same thing may happen to you. Am I saying you should live without any connections? I'm saying no, you should do you. Okay. Part of being an adult is getting out of your mother's house and discovering yourself and building your life. But I'm cautioning everyone to not fall into society pitfalls, to society traps. Because you'll get Trump or Obama or whoever, they'll go on CNBC or any channel and they'll say the stock market's at an all-time high, the economy's revving, and it is. But for 80% of Americans, what about the dagger in their soul? That when payday comes, it doesn't matter because it goes right out. And is life all about money? No. But why do you have a house? To have a relationship, to build a family. Now that's great. So if you're not worried about the money, you just want to spend time with your family. But do you spend more time with your family, or do you spend time more with your contractor? I can tell you, as a contractor, people spend more time with me than their family. I want to have no connections, and I live a healthier, happier life than most people. People used to guilt trip me like, Sam, how can you live a disconnected life? Easy. How can you be divorced twice and going on 3 times? How can you not have a good mind, body, and soul, and you're being in an unhealthy relationship? So I can do it because I experienced it and I've grown myself. Nothing is perfect, guys. No, there's nothing. That's one thing I've learned too, like on this nomadic journey and developing there's nothing that's perfect. You want to live in your car, you're going to be sweating. You're going to be sacrificing. It's still, for me at this point, better than the alternative. Okay. You want to be in your house, that's great. But you're always going to have a level of entanglement. There's pros and cons to everything. You want to be alone, you're going to get to decide what you want to do with your time, your money, and you got no one to answer it to. You want to be in a relationship because you want love, you are no longer an independent person. The minute you sign up for a relationship, your independence just got split in half. And the minute you have a kid, the minute you have a pet, take away independence. Okay. And you willingly do it. You can't get into a relationship, have kids, have a pet, and say, oh, I want my independence. And it doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. So when you're ready to sacrifice your independence, when you're ready to sacrifice a level of emotional stability, and when you're ready to sacrifice a level of financial stability, then you get into a relationship, because that's what it takes. Is a relationship bad? No, but that's what it is. All right, let's continue to read. Luke. Now back to the topic. Do you think buying a lot near the ocean in Florida, a small RV park, is your best bet? It's a tough decision. There's no perfect answer. Right now, I'm living the simplest, cheapest, most flexible way. And I think in one sense, would be better if I did want to upgrade, just to buy an RV and have a camping trail and keep my flexibility. If my job ever changed, I can still go anywhere I want. So I know through my experiences that no matter what I do, it's going to be below my means, and it's going to think about worst case scenario. If I lost my job, am I in a position where I can still get another job and still be happy and be in a place that inspires me? I have to think about that before I put down roots. And I'm close, but I'm still not 100% sold. So again, there's pros and cons. Do I think it's my best bet? Not 100%. No, not yet. Nothing's 100% though, so I'm still evaluating. Good question, Luke. And would you like a Prius or some kind of economic car to buy when you're not at your land? I do still like the idea of a car, because I don't like the idea of driving an RV, even if it's Class B full time. I don't like that idea. It's not an enjoyable drive. Driving a Class B is like driving a cargo van, even a nice one. I drove a cargo van when I was a contractor. It's not a fun drive. I like to drive. I want a sunroof. I want an efficient car. So if I buy a lot of land, I'm still going to have the Jeep and eventually a Prius. So again, it just doesn't make sense in some instances. But no matter what type of car you have, when you live on the road, the negative is you always have to have a place to park. Okay, you always have to have a place to park. Doesn't matter if you have a Prius or RV. Now, RV or a bigger car, you got less options on where to park. The parking is your biggest problem, and that never goes away. It's always on your mind, and you're not able to rest. And that's where a home base or a house comes into value. It's a place of rest that and it is a sanctuary. But you have to make sure that it's a sanctuary in scale. It's not some huge cathedral by Central Park that's a glorified show. A place to rest is that. It could be quaint. It could be small. And so that's the pro and the con. Tony? Sam, you are banging tonight. Thank you, brother. Guys, when you're speaking, never pay attention to the audience. Speak from your level of truth. Have a bullet point of thoughts that you want to convey, and then just be true to yourself. Some people are going to like it, some people aren't. You have to be okay with that. Okay. That's how you grow. Okay. And I remember one time speaking in front of the church. I joined a non-denominational church, and I thanked them for giving me the opportunity to grow my gift of communication. And I remember I was trying to rush out what I wanted to say. And I remember there was somebody in the audience. I remember who she was. She said, Sam, take your time. I don't like it in a church way. When you have something to say, you take your time and you express it how you want. Never play to the crowd. Never worry about the reaction, thumbs up, thumbs down. You are, as you speak, you're directing your mind. You're refining your life. And, you know, people are listening. Either they're getting something or they're not, but it doesn't matter. Every time you speak, it's you focusing your mind, directing your thoughts, and giving you something good to dwell on if it's of good thought, you know. Let's continue. What would the total cost be and your mind to get an RV, a lot in Florida camper? Well, by the ocean, you're looking at $80,000 to $100,000 minimum by the ocean, okay? There's certainly places inland where you can go and you could spend $10,000, I mean, less. If you're going to get a developed land with utilities on it, you know, it's going to be at least $30,000 even inland. If there's no utilities, it's just raw land, then you have to account for, you have to plow that land, you have to clear it of trees. You're going to want to put utilities. If you buy a piece of land, you don't have utilities on it. I mean, that's fine. I don't want to live in the middle of nowhere. There was a rich coal billionaire. He made his billions in the coal business. Donald Trump tweeted about him today. He died in a helicopter crash with his young daughter. Why did he die? Because they were flying from the Bahamas to Florida. Why were they flying back to Florida? They're in the beautiful Bahamas. Because they needed to come to a good hospital. Guys, sometimes people ask me, Sam, wouldn't you like to live on an island or in a foreign land? Not if it doesn't have equivalent infrastructure. Because when you're in the middle of Bahamas or wherever and you need to come to a certain certified hospital, that's why you get airlifted. You know, even if you're in America, if you're in a rural part of America, and if you're really severe physical, if you have severe physical issues, you get in a big accident, a lot of times you got to get airlifted to a hospital that has the infrastructure to care for you. Infrastructure matters. That's hospitals. You know, that's resources. That's all these different things. Bob Marley died on his way to a hospital in Miami. Or died in a hospital in Miami. He was flying overseas. He had to come back because his cancer took root. You can be flying overseas in a foreign land, even if it's a beautiful land. And a lot of times people are flying back to Florida or wherever in America for the hospitals. Now look, you know, not to say a hospital is always going to save you. But what I'm trying to say is, right, you have to consider that as part of the cost. Which part of the cost, Sam? Well, if you buy, I said, oh, I could buy a cheap piece of land for $10,000 in the middle of nowhere. Swan Auto, he was just looking at a $25,000 piece of lot in the middle of Vermont on a hill with no infrastructure, no utilities, $25,000. What happens when you have to go to the hospital? What happens when you want utilities? What happens when, you know, you want to go to the store? Extra gas, extra cost, you know. So what I'm trying to say is back to the original point. Land, its value, and everything in proportion has a lot of hidden cost, including its proximity to infrastructure. When you're in a shitty school system, guess what? Your property value is lower. Okay. Now, you don't care about that. I don't care about that. I don't have kids. The only time you make money in property is when you sell it. You don't make a dime on property when you buy, even if you buy for dirt cheap. Even if you buy property during a crash. If you bought property in 2008, and right now, let's say you have $200,000 equity in your property, meaning that you bought a property in 2008 for $200,000, now it's worth $400,000. Well, one is, it's you didn't make $200,000 because, you know, you spent money on closing costs, you spent money on renovations, you spent money on utilities, etc. But even if you spent no money on any of that, which is impossible, you haven't sold a house. You don't make a dime off a house until you sell it. It's like buying a stock. You bought Facebook for $20 a share when it tanked after the IPO. Now it's worth $200 per share. You didn't make a dime until you sell it. And then once you sell your house and you get a profit, what are you going to do now? You're going to live in your car? Or you're going to buy another house? The only time you make money is if you buy a house at a decent price, you wait for 10 years or plus in most instances, you sell it, and then you downsize after you sell it and you take the proceeds. Because when you go to sell your house 20 years from now, guess what? All the other houses are going to be higher in price too. So a house has to be bought with the consideration of you like the area, it has something to offer to you, and you see yourself there for a long enough period of time. And it's a better alternative to renting. but you're willing to have the burden of ownership, not just the pride of ownership, the burden. Having a house like having a baby, even an RV lot. You got to have liability insurance. Your baby's a liability. Your house is a liability. Your baby gets sick. Where are you going to take it? It's a liability. Someone slips on your property. What are you going to do? And so you bought a house, by the ocean because you don't care about school system. Most people who buy houses they're families. So now you don't care about school systems, but the person that potentially could buy your house, they do. The baby boomers are dying. The baby boomers are a generation in America where America had a boom in babies. So the population went up. That was like when the middle class was growing, and even though stock market all-time high, middle class still stagnant and regressing. Money's floating up. The middle's getting squeezed. But things are still good, but I'm just trying to tell you, on average. So the baby boomers were when America population was growing. Now the population is stagnant and decreasing to a certain level based on percentages. So let's say after all the baby boomers die in 10, 20 years, there's going to be less people. Now, depending on what we do with immigration, because immigration is how a country grows, especially when its birth rates are decreasing. And many people in foreign lands, they have a lot more kids because it's survival. Because when you live in a foreign land, Bahamas or whatever, you have more kids because you have to pool your resources together to survive. When you're in America and you can make money on your own, you don't have to pool your resources together. There's a study that shows when the economy is good, there's actually more divorces. Why? Because when the economy is bad and you're struggling, you need to share resources. When you're doing good, you don't need that other person. You don't need your parent if they're not paying for your bill. You don't need your spouse if you can make your own money. And so, these are just some more reflections on the question. Good job. What I think it would be, I think it would cost an initial fee to buy a home base if you 100,000 or under, 80 to 100,000, which would be about an ocean. I think you would need 25% down if you're going to get a loan. If not, you have to buy cash or get a personal line of credit. So buying a house, the number one thing you need is a down payment. Now you can get as low for a single family house, you can get as low as like 3.5% federally backed loan. But for an RV lot, they don't have such things because there's less buyers. Less people in America want to buy, it's non-traditional property. Most people that buy property are families, and families don't want to buy RV lots. They're vacation homes or they're for retirees. And so that limits your pool of buyers, and therefore banks consider it a higher risk. So you have to put 25% down. And then, after you finance that, you put taxes, maintenance fees, utilities. You're looking at anywhere between $1,000 and $1,200 per month. Would it be cheaper to rent? Yeah. But now if you rent for 10 consecutive years, it would be cheaper to own. So it all matters on the length of duration, how much flexibility you're willing to sacrifice, and, those type of factors. Good job. Tony, house ownership is for rubbies. Not necessarily. I mean, if you stay in one area your whole life and you're static, you rent, not necessarily the best thing. It could be, because again, you don't make money off a house until you sell it. So if you're going to live in one area, if you're starting a family, and you buy below your means and you stay there for a certain number of years and you can make a little bit of a profit in 10, 20 years, then you take that, the profit, and then you downsize, and that's how you retire. But very few people do that, but that would be the thought. So buying does have upside, but it's very limited if you look at the true cost and how much you sacrifice. But again, if you decide to rent, you keep your flexibility. You don't have to deal with the burden of maintenance and ownership, but you have a landlord, and rent's always going to go up. Why does rent always go up? Because your landlord has a mortgage, or they have costs that continually go up. So they want to carry that cost onto the consumer. Just like your utility company. Your electrical company, like I just made the statement that Your electrical company, they're building a nuclear power plant to keep up with demand. There's a surcharge on your bill that's passed on to the consumer. So it's all a matter of where you want to position yourself. Everyone is unique, and there's no one answer for everyone, and there's different seasons of life. But what should you do when you want to buy or build a house? Consider all costs and ask yourself why you're doing it. And I think if you can say that you have calculated all the costs and it's below your means, and that you are doing it not just for your family, but for yourself, then proceed. But if you're doing it for someone else, and if you haven't really looked at the true cost, you're going to end up hurting. That's what I think. Gina, I saw the news about the shopping center. We got super chat. Marin from Southwest Florida, $1.99. Marin, I love you, Marin. Thank you for the love and the tip and a show of appreciation. Damn it, Marin. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Let's take a hydration break to the beautiful Marin, Southwest Florida, Sanibel Island. I love you. Thank you. God bless you, Marin. True encourager, and I appreciate you. Thank you. Gina, I saw the news about the shopping center explosion in Florida. Yeah, I saw that too. There was a LA Fitness or something that in a strip mall that exploded because of a gas explosion, supposedly. So yeah, it's look, guys, we're all gonna die. I pray for the people involved. I pray it never happens to any of us. But life changes a lot in 10 years. Gas explosion, hurricane, divorce, age, death. None of us are leaving here alive. So it's very important that you ask yourself why you're doing something. Because your time is your greatest asset, not your house. Your time and your well-being. Your well-being is affected by your finances, your emotions, what your relationships, and how you look at life and how you feel about life. And if you're strained financially and emotionally, you're going to hate life. And look, even when I'm not strained, sometimes you have those feelings. In the Bible, there was a whole book in the Bible, book of Ecclesiastes. The guy was the richest guy in the country, and he hated life. He said, look, you should still try to make the most of it. Try to stay positive, fear God, try to do the right thing. But, so you have to be very cautious that you don't put more of a burden on yourself than necessary. Good job. Luke, 10 years from now, thank you again, Mary. 10 years from now, I will be having robot service in Starbucks, McDonald's, and other stores. I doubt it. 10 years from now, you will probably be interfacing with technology more on touchscreen, things like that. But there'll still be someone getting paid probably $10 an hour, because all the conservatives don't want to raise minimum wage. They're living in their mom's house getting free electricity, but damn it, socialism's not coming to America. We don't want Starbucks. Well, Starbucks is actually pretty good, but we don't want McDonald's to give health care. We don't want a billion-dollar publicly traded company to give health care to their employees, and we damn sure don't want the government to give it to them. I had a guy who he said, look, I'm not going to do health insurance. It's too expensive. And if I get sick, I'll just pay the bare minimum. Screw it. And so health care has got to get addressed. And I heard Trump say that, he's going to negotiate some deal where we pay the lowest price out of every other country. So that he said, like Canada, that only works if everyone's paying, So look, I hope he does it. I'll be the first one to root Trump. I think Trump has done some good things. I hope he puts his salesman's hat on like he does with a lot of other things. And I hope he negotiates just as tough with the healthcare industry that he does with China. Okay? And I hope, just like he did with the negotiations with China, he subsidized American farmers. The government socialized every American farmer. Okay? That's what he did. Okay? And we still do it. So, just like he did when we were at a trade war with China, and we still are, he should subsidize every American citizen health care until he negotiates a deal with the healthcare companies. But he won't, okay? Because he's better than Hillary, but he still panders. Because the real trade negotiation is the corporations. And until we get fair negotiations, just like he's doing with American farmers, we should be subsidized, okay? That's the truth, okay? But they don't want to hear the truth. That's okay. Luke, I agree with you 100% looking back at my family relationships. When I was in high school years, I had great relationships with my mom. And now we're looking at all these years past and being in a bad. It makes me sad that negative memories definitely are starting to outweigh the positive times that I remembered in my childhood. Yes, yeah, that's the tough part about life. Again, I had 10 good years with my dog. Well, I had 10 years having a dog. 8.5 of those were good years. The last last year and a half were bad. And you tend to remember the bad times even though you had more good times. And it's tough. But all you can do in life, here's the key, guys. All you can do in life is go forward. Life is meant to be lived forward. It's painful, it's hard, but you got to just keep pushing forward. Keep moving forward. Good job. Milan, good to see you, Milan. Sammy, in Florida, the insurance is very expensive. I agree. Water, flooding, roof, etc. Deductibles are very expensive. I totally agree. That's why I would never buy a house in Florida. I'm just looking at a piece of land and put an RV on that. I'm not going to have home insurance. I'm going to have RV insurance. I'm going to move my RV if a hurricane comes. And I would have basic liability insurance on the property in case some psychopath just wants to do a slip and fall on my property and then sue me. So again, property could be a liability, not an asset. But it's a place of refuge. Your property is a place of refuge. If not, like Milano's got a park down in Miami he's able to park at. But I'm sure there's something in Milano's mind that, he may be comfortable at that park, but I'm sure his mind does maybe not totally shut down because he's always thinking like, maybe somebody's outside the park, walking around or something like that. So, you adapt. Like I adapt. Like I'm really not paranoid anymore about being out in the public as much as I am as a nomad. But there is something to be said that, I'm on edge a little bit because you have to be. You're not in your own sanctuary. Florida Yeti, shout out to my Russian brother. Hello, Sam. Hello to you. Truman Show. What's up, man? Hey, Sam. Have you been to Cocoa Beach? Yes, I have. I've been to Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach. I've been to the whole East Coast, Florida. Cocoa Beach is right below Cape Canaveral. That's where the NASA space shuttle was, and that's where now SpaceX is. Okay? SpaceX is a private company. So basically, that's why they call it the Space Coast. Okay? Cocoa Beach is nice. It's a small beach town. It's not tropical Florida. You have to get below Vero Beach to get tropical Florida. That's subtropical. Cocoa Beach has an old town feel, old Florida. I like Melbourne Beach. You want to stay on A1A. I like Melbourne Beach. I would go a little south of that. Satellite Beach is nice, but Satellite Beach got overbuilt. Like, I really like Satellite Beach, like, when I first started looking at Florida, like, several years back, but it's gotten overbuilt, man. So, I like Melbourne Beach. Cocoa Beach, not so much. It's nice, but it's an old town feel. So I would like to go a little bit more south. That's my opinion. And the first place, if you wanted to be close to Cocoa Beach, I would go to Melbourne Beach. Not inland Melbourne. I like Melbourne. Shout out to my friend Karen. I love you. I looked at Melbourne, but I would go to Melbourne Beach. A little more expensive, but that's that old town Florida feel. A little bit different than South America where we're South Florida where we're living in Vida Loca. That's not living in Vida Loca. That's again like old Florida feel. Swan, oh damn it, Swan. You had a good video today, brother. I saw it. I gave it a thumbs up. Again, Swan did a video in Vermont looking for land, 25,000. Brother, you look great. Now you look good with your glasses on, but a pro tip: don't wear glasses when you make a video. Why? Because they give off a reflection and it makes it hard to look at. You can't really tell, but at the end of the video, when you had no glasses on, it was a big difference. Now, I did some live feeds when I had my glasses on because I wear glasses too. Right now, I'm wearing contacts. And the video is not as good. You don't realize the glare it gives off. So you look great. It's not about your looks, but it's about video quality. There's something there, And you did a great job, man. Good editing. You got a drone shot in there. Great job, man. But don't wear glasses. But other than that, thumbs up to that video. Great job. He goes, what I want to do is save for a tiny house, okay, and then get a lot of land to put on it. Vermont allows full-time RVing. Vermont does because there's nothing up there. I've been to Vermont. I've been in the hills. I could say it's beautiful, but it's also a disaster. There's no Wi-Fi. It's very hill. Like Swan Auto was damn near out of breath just walking up a small street. The problem with that is, here's the problem. One is you should do it because I know you're passionate about Vermont. So it's not a negative thing towards Vermont. It's about you're young, right? Swan, I think you're in your like early 20s, mid 20s. 10 years from now, you're going to look at life completely different. And every person in here who's over 30 years old, I would like you to leave a comment right now. Did you have a different mindset when you were 35 versus 25? So right now, Swan Auto, you want to buy a tiny house, and I think, I want you to do you. But I guarantee you at 35, you may want to start a family. And your spouse or whoever you're going to marry, doesn't matter. Could be a girl, guy, transgender, doesn't matter. They may think it's cute, the idea of a tiny house, but then it's not their own. When you get into a relationship, and it doesn't matter what type of relationship, guys, whether it's going to be a family or a lover or a sex partner, your vision is not the only vision. So Swan Auto, as a single guy, you got a vision of a certain type of tiny house in a certain area of Vermont. So let's say 10 years from now, you're in a relationship, whether you're going to start a family or they're just a lover. They may have a similar vision, but no one has the exact same vision as you. And that's the problem with buying or building a house. Unless you do it solely for you and you're never going to have someone else in your life, like Luke asked me. As soon as you let someone else in your life, they may like your house, they may think it's nice and cute and inspiring, but it's not their vision. Everyone has their own fingerprint. Everyone has their own idea of their dream house. And when you merge two people together, they drain each other because they're trying to align each other up with the vision. So now that tiny house that you built, you got to sell it. Why? Because someone that you're with, that you can't see your life without, they don't like that tiny house. They want to go buy a house in Pittsburgh, or whatever. But either way, brother, I'm just glad that you got out of that bitter relationship with your transgender neighbor. Swan Auto was making videos for like a week straight about how he hated his transgender neighbor. They were having conflict. It was like his channel was turning into like World Star Hip Hop, like where all you do is see street fights. I thought like he was gonna end a piece of like Kimbo Slice in like him fighting like his neighbor. Thank God he's back to being Swan Auto, man, because I thought I was gonna lose you for a minute, man. I thought like your channel was about to go to a whole other dimension, man. Life changed a lot in 2 weeks, man. Let's take a hydration break. Buck Porter's back. He just got back from a cruise. What a disaster that was. Yes, this is a very serious topic and change your route in life. Look, nothing will change your life more than the decision to buy a house. But you have to get out of your parents' house, guys. If you're of sound mind and body, at some point you're going to need help. You got to get out of your parents' house. As an adult, you got to. I don't care if you're conservative or liberal, doesn't matter. But damn sure if you're conservative, you better get your ass out because you're supposed to be on your own. Because there's something to be said when you have to buy your own toilet paper, when you have to pay your own utility bill. It's a good thing. I mean, you have to start living your life. And you have to start to realize, like, look, I got my own vision for life. There's some people that, they just kind of stay around their parents. And then before you know it, they're telling me they're living with their parents to help their parents. Even though they're ordering fast food on their parents' credit card. They're using free electricity. You're not helping your parents. Come on, you're living off your parents. Big difference. If your parent is living with you and they're not paying for anything, then you're helping your parents. But if they're living with you, they gotta live on your terms. Because guess what? When you were a kid, you were living on their terms. If you're paying for everything. If you're not paying for everything, you're not, so I want to encourage everyone out there, if you're of sound mind, body. Now, if you're going through a divorce or if you lost your job, which I've been, then you gotta go back to your parents. There's a time for that. You gotta get help or whatever. That's time for that. But as you heal, you have to start to get ready to look back at life. Now, what you may find out, once you go through some hard times, I don't want a big house. Maybe I want to hit the road. Maybe I want a tiny house, whatever you want. But why are you doing it? Are you doing it for you? Are you doing it to attract a lover? Are you willing to accept, all the cost? But that's good. That helps you to start to think about life and your destiny, your purpose. If not, you're going to sedate yourself, and then you're going to go on cruise ships, and then you're going to get sick from everyone swimming in the same cesspool. Guys, let's stay positive. I love you, Buck. Good to have you back. Gina, I saw a magical octopus today while snorkeling. He was protecting his house, and he was ready to attack. Oh, I hear that. Shout out to all the squid. Fried calamari. Guys, what was at one time one of my favorite seafoods is fried calamari. I think that's basically fried octopus. Luke. I'm your age, Sam. Okay. And I'm getting older myself. I'm starting to realize that simplicity is so much better than mobile and living free. Look, I think most people would struggle with living out of their car. It's but I think a level of mobility is wisdom, a level of flexibility. And I definitely think for all people, a big level of simplicity is key. Mobility is good. You need some of it, but definitely simplicity is key. Everyone's on a different scale, but a level of a foundation of simplicity is key. So then you can use your resources, your emotional well-being, your financial well-being to live life instead of living for a house. You just wasted all weekend because you have to stay in your house between 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. to wait for the contractor, to wait for the cable guy, to wait for the appraisal. I've been there, guys. You waste your life. I used to have to waste a Saturday every year to wait for the dryer vent guy to come suck out the lint in my dryer. You never get time back. Time is your greatest asset. A house is a liability. A house is a sanctuary. It's a blessing, but only in a right context. Only if you count the cost. Only if you ask yourself why you're doing it. All right, let's continue. Sailing John. Sailing John knows Sailing John's wife died for cancer. So if Sailing John built a house for his wife and now she died for cancer, then I knew a guy. He also lost his wife to cancer. He was from Piscataway, New Jersey. And when I met him, he was dating a girl that lived in my community. And we had got to know each other because he had a dog, I had a dog, we were sharing. I don't have a dog anymore, guys. A lot changes in 10 years. So I got to know this guy. And he was living with his girlfriend in my community. So we started to share more about our lives. He goes, yes, Sam, I have a house in the town called Piscataway. And I live with my girlfriend here, and he also had like a vacation place in like the Bahamas or something. So I said, well, if you live with your girlfriend, why do you keep a house in Piscataway? He goes, it's an emotional attachment because that's where my wife used to live. And when she died, I can't bring myself to changing the house, selling it. Her room, his wife that died, her room is still like a shrine. He died, he left the house to his kids, and his kids never came to the hospital when he was sick, and I understand that. They got their own life. You buy a house for your kids, once they hit puberty, they don't want to be in the house. Once your kids hit puberty, they don't want to be in your house. If they do, they just want to be able to bring alcohol. They want to be able to go in the pool, skinny dip, and give a blowjob when you're gone. Things change a lot, man. And before you know it, God forbid, your spouse dies or something happens. And then you have this house and you say, damn. We may have had a lot of good years in this house, but I only remember the bad memories. A house is not a home. A home is not a house. Time spent is everything. Your time is your asset. Your energy is your asset. Your emotional well-being is your asset. Your house is a liability. You have to live somewhere. I'm not saying always rent, but listen to me. Your time, your energy, and your well-being is your greatest asset. And anything, including buying or building a house that takes away from that, you have to seriously consider the cost. Seriously. Let's continue to read. Let's take a hydration break first. Marin, thank you again. Sound John. Good evening, Sam. It's all a disaster. I know, brother. Never going back. Well, I like that attitude. We will put down a t-shirt eventually. Laughing, inspired, brother. I love you on my heart. Good to have you back, Sound John. Keep going forward, brother. I love you. Luke. Verse, being in prison to debt and materialistic entanglement. Well, again, I agree. Live as simple as possible, and debt will keep you on the hook, and it will decide what jobs you take, where you live. Many people want to live in Florida. They can't. Why? And you don't really know where you want to live during your 30s. Like, guys, when I was in my 20s, I really didn't think about, like, where do I want to live? I just wanted to, go out there, work, build my career, get on my own. And I was still trying to figure out life, and I was making a lot of mistakes, and I was buried in debt. And a house is a big anchor. Only buy or build a house when you really are at a place in your life where you know where you want to live. You're mature enough to handle everything that comes with it. You know, when you're young like Swan Auto do, I think Swan Auto should buy a house. He should do whatever he wants. But, you know, I think just be mindful, man. When you're young, you don't want to put too much on your soul. Now, I like that he's looking at a tiny house. But he's a young man. A young man who builds a tiny house in Vermont, how many job opportunities do you have? Now, because the minute you buy or build a house, you need a job, even a tiny house. What are you going to do in the hills of Vermont? You're going to be a digital nomad? How do you get Wi-Fi? What content are you going to do? I mean, how many videos can you do a hill in Vermont? There's no Latino hills, like you could do like a special pay-per-view thing. You know, guys, just be mindful. All right, let's continue. Luke, I think it's so cool, the idea to have a lot and land you can park your small RV on near the beach with distance to have a Prius to maybe mobile when you're not in an RV lot. Definitely. I want to keep a regular car. Now, I don't want to have two. I don't want to have a car and an RV, but I have to accept if I do get a home base, there's entanglement that starts. I'm going to keep it simple. If I do it, I may not do it. Like, there's an entanglement. You got to buy an RV. You got to have a liability insurance. You got to take care of that. You got to have utility bills. You got to have property taxes, HOAs, whatever it may be. And, you know, but it provides a sanctuary. That's the blessing of a house. But you want it to be a sanctuary, not a cathedral. A cathedral is a big showpiece unto the Lord. A sanctuary is where your heart is. A sanctuary is not measured in square foot. A sanctuary is not measured in a land boundary assessment. A sanctuary is where you feel safe, comfortable, and creative. And right now, I mean, in the parking lot with police flying by, I feel pretty safe. Well, on top of that, add all the taxes, yep, which always go up in most cases. And some areas, the water bill. Yeah, it's true. I don't need water. Guys, if I buy a home base, I'm going to buy one. Well, that water is going to be included in HOA, but they have bathhouses. Because it used to be like a campground. They have like bathhouses there where they have showers and water. I never want to clean a toilet bowl again. I never will. So I'm going to use the bathhouse, and I'm going to put a peanut jug or peanut bathhouse. And then he goes, in some area, water bill going up. Yep, once they get the hooks in you, they keep going up. Like the town of, down by Miami. I heard of the town, Hialeah. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Electric bill, I talked about that. Trash, you got to pay for trash. Everything, yeah, you never even think about it. You got to pay for trash bags too. You may need 50K safety net, definitely. I definitely think you need minimum 20. If you're going to buy a house, you need a minimum 25K safety net. If not, you're going to get screwed. I got screwed. You're going to be borrowing money from your parents, putting money on credit cards, total disaster. Move out on your own, but live simple. And if you don't have those reserves, rent very simple until you do. But do whatever you want in your life. Good job, Milano. Tony, good to see you. Milano, Sammy. If you have to own a house, is not money left for the climbing girl. Let me tell you something, guys. You're going to buy a house for a girl, for a family. And then you're going to spend most of your time coordinating with the contractors and less time with your family. Be very careful. Buck. Truth, my uncle owned his condo, paid off, and had 2 kids, and then the wife talked him into getting a house. It happens. And ended up going bankrupt. It happens. Buck, then divorce. That happens. Good job, Buck. Good to see you, man. BBT, I saw you retracted. I love you, brother. I appreciate you coming in. Milano, Sammy, the last time I moved, everything went to the nearest dumpster, like 99%. That's the hardest part about downsizing is throwing out. But if you're not like Milano, like myself, if you're not willing to throw out 99% of your stuff, you're never going to downsize. And I know people that died and wish they had downsized, but they never had the strength. And as you get older, it's very harder. So Milano, let's celebrate tonight. Milano downsized. He got his first Social Security check last week. Milano's living the best life possible. You guys would be smart to watch Milano. Never underestimate the emotional cost of owning your home. Good job, Sam. Good job, Tony. Thank you. Tony, Sam, if you decide on a home base, would you consider just renting a small one-room apartment? No. I do not want to be in an apartment. I don't want to be in a condo. I don't want to be in a single-family house. I want to be in a vehicle, whether it's a regular vehicle or RV. I always want to be on wheels, and if I'm not on wheels, I want to be in a travel trailer that can be moved or anchored down. There's something that inside me, I don't get inspired by going inside an apartment or a condo or a single-family house. They'll appreciate more than an RV. An RV is going to depreciate. Now, the land you put it on, that may appreciate somewhat, but not even close to as much as single family. But the only time you make money, even if your house appreciates, is when you sell it. And when you sell it, where are you going to go? I sold my house. Where am I going to go? In a vehicle or an RV? And what I can tell you is, yeah, I don't want to do an apartment. And I don't want to rent. I'd rather just keep renting at campgrounds and live mobile. Like Liz has a Corrado. I look at there's a used Corrado right now in Florida for $50,000. 1-year-old, Class B. That's a lot of money though. But like a Corrado, I would live in a Corrado. But I don't want to live in an apartment. I'd rather spend $50,000 for a Corrado than rent an apartment for $400 a month. And you ain't gonna get no apartment for $400 a month. But I don't want to do that. I want to be on the road, or I want to have an RV. I want to like have that. I want to be outside the majority of my time. The only reason I'm looking at a home base is just from where it's safely and legally parked. Like right now, I'm in the parking lot. I gotta get the hell out of here. So, like, I don't want a home base because I want to be like in a house. I just want somewhere safe and legally to park. And campgrounds get tiring, but I'd rather still do that until I find out something reasonable. Good job, Liz. Shout out to the Corrado. Family is everything. I doubt that. Good to call these silly plateaus out. Y'all don't know what that word means, but you get me, and I love your Corrado. I love you. Good to see you. Dennis, that's my brother. This topic cuts deep. Thank you, brother. With truth, there is no stealth living. Good comment. There is only low profile living. Also, good point. The key is to weigh the cost. Good job. Not only in dollars, but in maintaining your preferred level of peace. Damn it. Dennis, you continue to impress me with your insights. Good job. Ralph, what's up, brother? Hello from earthquake in California. Blessing to you, brother. Trump said everything's under control. Let's continue to read. Very cool observation about home ownership. Thank you, brother. Some homes damaged by quakes costly. Same thing with hurricanes in Florida, guys. Florida's a conservative-leaning political thing, and we got hurricanes, okay? California's liberal, and they got earthquakes. Guys, doesn't matter if you're conservative, liberal, and what part of the country you live on, East Coast, West Coast. Natural disasters happen. But guess what? Hurricane Sandy happened in New Jersey, and I was damn sure not going to stay in New Jersey. I'd rather deal with hurricanes in Florida than in New Jersey. And I damn sure don't want to deal with snowstorms. But living on the road and flexibility is your greatest asset. So why am I looking at an RV lot? Because if a hurricane comes, I'm going to live right on the ocean. I'm going to either start that Class B or hitch that travel trailer and get it the hell out of there, or anchor that $10,000 trailer down. I got insurance. If that thing blows away, I'll get another one. So I like the aspect of the RV because it's disposable or movable, flexible. A house ain't flexible. You can't just move it. Even a tiny house, even a mobile home. Mobile homes aren't mobile. You got to get some big trailer, wide load to move it. RV for life for me, man. Good job. Little Fireland. Good to see you, Sam. Been very busy making it happen, hey? I know you haven't been in church in 3 months. You've been backsliding, but who am I to judge? Crew 5. I totally agree, man. Thank you. I live my 4 Explorer. Praise the Lord. Has its expensive as hell here in California. Yeah, but there's more jobs in California than Alabama. You can live cheap dirt in Alabama, but you won't have as many housing opportunities. You damn sure ain't going to have as much good weather. California is a blessing from the Lord. Let's continue. I have 2 jobs, full-time job, part-time job, still hard. If you think it's hard in California, move to Alabama. Then tell me how you feel. But I understand what you're saying. Love to. Thank you for the comment, brother. Marin, thank you again, Marin. Houses? Question mark. Don't get it. Yeah. Property taxes, lawn, maintenance, daily, weekly, monthly, cleaning. Yeah. Twice a year. Deep cleanse. Oh, my God. Pest control. Oh, my God. And on again. Good job, Marin. But yeah, go ahead. Give me the safe apartment. Give me the car or RV. Marin, good comment. Marin. Or van, yeah, van or mobile, everything. Good job. Lying low. Better life. Guys, you better listen to Marin, who's from Southwest Florida, who's lived a lot of life. She used to be a millionaire, and I still love her. My eyes still very smart. She's one of the most compassionate people I ever met. I love Marin. Marin, if I'm making $100 million, you're getting $1 million. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of you. And what I could tell you is this. Marin just gave you insight from a life well lived. What did Marin say? She said, lighten the load. Enjoy life. Marin, good job. And thank you again for your love. Dan, got married. Don't day trade. Don't double down if you day trade. I've been there. The most money I lost in day trading. Now, but I don't want to discourage anyone if they want to take risk. Everything is risk. But if you're ever going to risk money, just risk it in proportion of what you're willing to deal with, and keep a certain amount in savings. Because again, when I wanted to, and when I wanted to take risk, I don't want other people to tell me not to do. But I have to share with you that most risks fail. And like Danny's saying, you want to stabilize your life with a certain amount in stable funds. And just like everything in life, you're going to risk something. It has to be in small proportion so that you don't hurt yourself mentally, emotionally, and financial. And I failed there in some instances. We all have. Good comment. Marin, I'm so happy you're open to evolve and who you are right now. God bless you all. Good job, Marin. I love you. Marin agreed, Danny. Marin, what do you think about leasing a vehicle? I wouldn't want to do it, not if I'm living in full time. Now, if you're a company, most businesses fail. If you're at a company, it's a good depreciating asset. It may make sense. Living in full time, no. If it's a casual one and someone lives in a house and they don't take it out very far and they don't want, and they don't see themselves wanting it for more than 3 years, maybe. But in many instances, I don't think it's a good idea. In some instances, it may be. Nurse calls. Damn it, Nurse calls, you're back. I miss you, Nurse calls. I thought you were out, but I love you. Nurse calls, if you never come in here another day, I want you to know I love you. And you just keep doing you, Nurse calls. You don't have to justify yourself to no one. So, Nurse calls, I love you. It's good to have you back. Just keep doing you. Danny, hey, man. Nurse calls, hello, everyone. Good to have you back, Nurse. Denise, hey, Denise. Nurse calls. I visit Puerto Rico every 3 years. And the hospitals in Puerto Rico are horrific. They got major infrastructure problems. It's true. Dennis, Sam, it's season of life stuff. If I had to guess, I'd say what weighs on you now goes to the preference of being alone against increased public exposure you deal with living in your car. Good point. Now, the good part about living in your car, van, or RV is that it pushes you to be outdoors more. That's a thumbs up, because I think many people waste their life indoors. Okay. The negative is you could be exposed to too much of the public. Now, for an introvert, somewhat that's good, because it's good to have some social interaction. You don't want to be totally isolated. And if you did, you can go in the middle of nowhere. I purposely stay in urban areas. I like to be around. All right. So, but there's no like sanctuary. And that's where the home base comes to value. Now, you can get a campground, and that's a level of sanctuary. But here's the difference between a campground and a home base. Even at a campground, there's something in your mind you're never settled. But is it worth it to start to get entangled with the property just to... No, because now, like a home base, you may be settled, but you're going to have anxieties of fixed recurring bills. So everything's a trade-off. That's true. Marin, 3 palm trees, ocean, yeah, the sea level's rising. That's true. What I read, it could. We could be in a cycle too. The influence of the beachfront property. Also, a lot of other environmental things. Hydration break. That's true. Good job, Marin. But it's like anything else. Look, the sea levels may go down 100 years from now. A lot changes in 100 years. A lot changes in 10 years. So that's the negative about buying or building a house. At the same time, you want to enjoy life. So you got to keep it simple. Good points. Let's take a hydration break. Dennis, where are you going to park? The biggest part of the nomad life. 100% agree. Here's the 2 biggest parts of the nomad life. Finding safe, legal parking daily, and understanding you're going to spend more in food cost than you think. You're going to spend anywhere between, on average, $900 to $1,500 per month in food. Sam, how do you figure? I think you can easily spend $30 a day in food if you consider everything you drink and everything you eat. $30 per day times 30, there's 30 days in a month, that's $900 per month. And I think you can easily spend that. That's an apartment rental. Now, if you lived in an apartment, would you spend much on food? No, you may be able to cut that in half. But you may say, look, I'm living in an apartment just to eat food. Some people are. So, you know, hey, you may be outdoors more enjoying life, but you can eat what you want. So there's a counterbalance. Good job. Marin, stock market, in truth, it's already decided the night before. To some extent, that's true. Not by small potatoes. I agree with that. We control nothing, really. I agree with that. I agree. You know, it's still, yeah, I agree, Marin. Palm tree, husband does stock market for fun. That's all it is. Look, my mom sometimes would do slot machines for fun. She lost money. I mean, so if you want to do slot machines, if you want to do day trading, if you want to do a strip club, if you want to do Chick-fil-A, if you want to do something for pure entertainment and you're willing to lose that amount of money and it doesn't hurt you emotionally, and you're willing to deal with it, that's fine. But make sure that you have a certain amount of savings. Make sure that you have enough quality time with yourself that you don't take that negative energy out on someone else. But it's a little bit of an emotional addiction, but I can understand how it adds a little excitement to life. You know, it's like, you know, you can do everything boring and then you're not inspired because you need a little bit of risk. So I understand the value of risk. Risk makes us feel alive. If we take no risk, you know, what the fuck are we here for? To eat Chick-fil-A? So, but most risks fail. So, and if all your risks fail, then you're just like, shit, Chick-fil-A is the only thing I got. So, you want to find a balance. It's not easy. Andre, what's up, man? The cost of a house is getting out of hand. Wages aren't even close. On average, in many instances, I would say that's a fair comment. Good job, Marin. Thank you again, Marin, for the tip. I appreciate that, Marin. Thank you. Journey with your name, man. In San Francisco, you can rent a broken down Class A to live in. Yeah. In Tennessee, you know, you can live in a mobile home and work for Dave Ramsey for minimum wage. So take your pick. I live in California. Dennis, whatever you choose, define what is that will provide the means to your idea of sanctuary. It's not as much as a physical or material means as it is an emotional means. Good job. Emotional well-being is key. Milano, Sammy, I was phone? What does that mean? Swan Auto. I'm 18. Damn, Swan Auto, young as hell, man. You shouldn't be buying no house, man. Swan Auto, you young, man. I ain't mad at you. You're a guy, man. Swan, you're going to be a good guy, man. Thumbs up to you, man. Man, I'm a completely different person every 7 years. I mean, I totally agree. I totally agree with that, Marin. Good comment. Yeah, I gave me. Hey, Sam, shout out to Canada. Good to see you, brother. Swan Auto, thank you for the compliment, brother. Keep doing you. Chocolate Nomad Vibes, something. Get to know yourself, yeah. In and out, I agree with that. Masturbating stock. And structure your life accordingly. Good job. That's what you did. Chocolate Nomad Vlog. I love you, brother. Good comment. Danny, Buddha left a palace to have nothing. Yeah, but his whole journey was about finding balance because he went very extreme. He totally deprived himself of everything. He lived in the woods. He lived bare bones, and he found that wasn't the road to enlightenment. Then he totally indulged himself. He realized that wasn't the road to enlightenment. Then he totally went anorexic. He stopped eating food, just enough to survive, and he realized that wasn't the road to enlightenment. Then he totally became a glutton, and he realized that wasn't the road to enlightenment. So Buddha's final message was he had a life of many extremes. And what he said his message was the enlightenment is found in balance. And that Asian culture and that Asian philosophy of Buddha is all about balance. Now, and I agree with that, but here's the key thing, balance. Balance is individual. We all have our own fingerprint. So, Jeb Bush, he's totally imbalanced. To Donald Trump, he's low energy. And Donald Trump, to some people, he's a raging maniac. But to some people, he's a stable genius. Balance is relative to who you are and what your mindset is. I agree with balance, but there's many shades of balance. Good job. Let's continue to read. I gotta get the hell out of this parking lot. Roy's laughing. Facts, you be cracking me up, brother. I appreciate that support. Thank you, man. Liz! Hey, Liz, shout out to South Florida. I hope all's well. Damn, I'm back on the comments. I love you, Liz. AI. Sam, I almost moved into a new apartment. Okay. With a 1-year lease. Okay. It was too much commitment. I understand that. Current apartments month to month. I totally understand. It's like sometimes you can pay more for a month to month, but the emotional well-being of knowing you can get out of it is better. So I totally understand what you're up against, brother. I feel the same way about a home base. Thank you for sharing. AI also was a duplex with a landlord right next door. Oh, you did the right thing in my opinion. Too close for comfort. I think you did the right thing, but each your own. I agree, Liz. Live simple. Yep. I'm going to end up doing this sooner rather than later. Damn it, Liz. Good job. There's Cole's laughing. Living yeah. I love the job. Good to have you. You're living a real life. Yeah. I'm living the life that some people, they're building a house in Orlando. They haven't been to the beach in weeks. I remember watching a guy on YouTube. He had moved to Florida. And he said, guys, if you think moving to Florida every day you're going to be at the beach, you're misled. Guys, I live in Florida. Every day I'm at the beach. Why? Because I live simple and I don't have a house that I'm obligated to. When you live simple, you can spend every day at the beach. Even if you have to work a full-time job. As soon as you're off, you go right to the beach. Okay? But when you have a house, you go back to the house and you wait for the contractor. And some of your most intimate conversations are with your contractor. And it's not the beach. It's in the middle of your living room. Total disaster. Let's continue. Nurse calls. Heck yeah. 20, 30, 40s, I live grand. House and all. Now, I want to travel and live simple. Yeah, tiny house, yeah. Cost of gas to pull. Be very careful. Good job. Jordan, I love you. How much does greasy soup cost at ShopRite, brother? The cost is just not financial, it's emotional. There's something that destroys your emotional well-being when you walk into ShopRite. And my mom used to work at ShopRite. My mom's overweight. But some overweight lady is getting ready to give you a big cup of some greasy-ass chicken noodle soup. You're not in South Florida anymore, baby. You're not living a Vida Loca when you're in ShopRite looking at clam chowder or chicken noodle soup. You're not in South Florida. You are in New Jersey, the Garden State, the home of clam chowder and greasy chicken noodle soup. And you're at the Jersey Shore and it's packed. And then you're in the middle of winter and it's a ghost town. And you're saying, oh shit, I should downsize my life and live like inspirational nomad. I said, what you waiting for? Because time is your greatest asset. Your emotional well-being and your time is your greatest asset. So however you decide to live, never forget that. Peace, love, stay positive.